अन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचं मां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं यं गुरुं हि स्वयं सत्यः प्रज्ञाभक्तिविनीतयः दीप्तिश्चाविवृताः सत्यं तं गुरुं प्रणमाम्यहम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Adi Shankaracharya was one of the highest philosophers of all time. So his intellectual accomplishments have been marveled at by several brilliant philosophers. So he not only wrote commentaries on Upanishads and Brahma Sutras, but also composed several hymns. So hymns on praise of various deities. In fact, one of the Namavalis in the Ashtottaram of Adi Shankara is Shanmata Sthapanacharya Namaha. So the one who established 6 schools of worship. This is what essentially it means. So in spite of interpreting and upholding Advaita philosophy, so he felt a dire need for composing several hymns on praise of several deities. The most famous, of course, is Bhaja Govinda. And there are several hymns. One of them is the Subramanya Bhujangam. So in Sanskrit, so these hymns are generally in the form of verses. So there are a few things which are exceptional, which are called dandakas, Shyamala Dandakam, etc. So these verses, the moment you say they are composed in the form of poetry, they have to meet a certain metrical requirement. And this stotram particularly is not merely called a stotram, but called Bhujanga. So Bhujanga in Sanskrit literally means, serpent. In fact, there are 3 terms which are similar sounding: Bhujaga, Bhujanga and Bhujangama. We have Vihaga, Vihanga, Vihangama. It is only the suffix which varies. All of them mean essentially the same thing. Why would you call a serpent Bhujanga? Normally, the words are quite meaningful, and in fact, there is a special branch which is called Nirukta, which aims, one of these 6 Vedangas, which aims to establish the meaning of various nouns from the verbal forms, verbal roots. This Bhujanga is also a name which is derived from a certain root. The word normally signifies hand, right? Bhuja, right? Chaturbhuja, we say. Chaturbhuja means the one who has 4 hands. Dashamukha, when we say it is Ravana. So this Chaturbhuja, there the word Bhuja is used in the sense of hand. With respect to the word Bhujanga referring to serpent, it is difficult to derive. The word Ga is a suffix which is meant to denote motion. See, in fact, even the word Vihaga, see, so the one which moves in space, see, Gacchati iti Ga. So bhujanga, when we say the one which moves with hand, so that doesn't work out well. So I was just thinking, so I was, in fact, this was sort of learning exercise for me. I wanted to figure out, so do we call this bhujanga as the one which moves through hands? It doesn't work. And uraga, when you say, in fact, that is also that. See, uraga also means serpent. See, so urasa gacchati, that is understandable. But bhuja doesn't work out that way. See, so now there is a grammarian student has entered the room. So the word bhuja is used in the sense of kutila. See, so bhujo kautilye is the root. See, so kutila means that which has some curved motion. Okay, so bhujam gacchati means kutilam gacchati. See, that which moves in a sort of curved path. See, that is very understandable. Okay, so bhujam gacchati iti bhujangaha. So this is how we understand the word bhujanga. Why is it called bhujaga, bhujanga? So they are all synonymous. Why would this stotra be called bhujanga? In fact, if you count the number of syllables which are there, see, in these stotras, there are two kinds of stotras. See, poetry. So poetry broadly one can divide into two types. So one would be based on the count of the syllable. See, the number of syllables. So this bhujanga stotra will have 14 syllables. 12 syllables. In fact, this will have 12 syllables. See, 12 syllables. Sada bala rupa pi viknatri hantri. Yeah, 12 syllables. And these syllables will be normally grouped into 3 syllables. So this is called a gana. So we will have essentially 4 ganas in this. So if it is an odd number, so which is not a multiple of 3, so 11 suppose we say, so then there may be 3 groups plus laghu guru whatever. So it is normally laghu guru. So one can be short, the other can be long. So this is one kind of construction wherein you impose the constraint that this syllable has to be laghu guru, etc., and then you will have a certain rhythm. So it may be repeated, it need not be repeated, different kinds of combinations are possible. The entire study originates from a certain work called Chandas Shastram by Pingala. So Pingalacharya was around 2500 years before, something like that. Okay. So there is a discipline. That's why Chandas is one of the 6 Vedangas. This is one kind of classification. The other is based on the count of the duration, which is called matra. See, so this is called matra vrittam. The other is called aksharam. So matra chandaha, akshara chandaha. These are broad classifications. In fact, there is one called Arya meter. See, Arya is a famous example of this matra chandas. So this is anyway akshara chandas. So this bhujanga, and the definition basically goes like this: bhujanga prayatam chaturbhir yakaraihi. So they try to give the definition of a particular meter in the same meter. Understand? Bhujanga prayatam chaturbhir yakaraihi. Now when I pronounce this, you may be able to see a certain difference between the duration which is required in pronouncing a syllable and a different syllable. Bhu is a short one. Jang, gap, pra, ya, tam, cha, tur, bhir, ya, ka, rai. So what is the pattern that you recognize?
Short.
Short, long. See, bhujangam prayatam. So what has Chaturbhir Yakaraihi means there are 4 yaganas. This yakara refers to yagana. And this yagana, in fact, is also defined in Chanda Shastra. See, so the first sutra is Dhi Shri Strim Va Ra Sai. See, Va Ra Sai. See, Va Ra Sa. So these 3 syllables are signified by, or rather the duration which is involved in pronouncing these 3 syllables, Va Ra Sai. So this is what is yagana. So these 4 yaganas constitute basically Bhujanga Vritta. So this is the origin for the name of the stotra, Subramhanya Bhujangam. So hymn in the praise of Subramhanya, composed in a meter which is Bhujanga. In fact, Bhujanga Prayata is also used. Prayata means motion. See, Bhujangasya prayatamiva prayatam yasya. See, so the motion of whose is like the motion of the serpent. See, in fact, if we probe a little further, so how is it that this could be called so? In fact, yesterday I was just, so now sometimes this web also comes very handy. So I was just looking for the serpent motion. So you see some nice things coming. So you see this, what happens is it quickly sort of contracts, and then when it moves forward, so it has to give friction somewhere, so loot it and then move and then move. See, so it just there will be some 3-4 folds, so it moves and then further moves. See, so this can be taken as short, long, short, long, and it repeats. So that is why it is called Bhujanga. So what one has to understand is there are various kinds of meters. So one may be Yagana, one may be Tagana. So it will be a combination of various ganas which constitutes meters. But this is a particular meter where the same gana repeats 4 times. Okay? So these are all some special meters. So this is why it is called Bhujanga Prayatam. Okay. Okay. So with this introduction, we will get into the stotra per se. So what I would do is, I will render one line, so you can repeat. So then we will discuss the meanings. Okay. Sada bala rupa pi vikhnadrihantri mahadanti vaktra pi panchasya manya Vidhindradi mrigya ganeshabhidhame Vidhattam shriyam kapi kalyanamurtihi. So this first verse, as you can easily guess, is in the praise of Ganesha. See? So in the third quarter, the verse basically consists of 4 quarters. So in the third quarter we see Ganeshabhidhame. See, Ganeshabhidha. Abhidha means the signifier, the term which is used to refer to something. Abhidha. Abhidheya is signified. Ganeshabhidha means the one which has the name Ganesha. And there are various descriptions which are made about this. And Vidhattam Shriyam Kapi Kalyana Murtihi, he says. So Kapi Kalyana Murtihi Shriyam Vidhattam. So Kapi, Ragathu kuda per Kapi. So Raga, of course, what we drink, the most famous drink. So Kapi, this Kapi in here, Ka Api, that is how it has to be understood. So something which is indescribable. Yenna kacheri. See, Yenna means, I mean, we will not be able to express through words. See, so the joy that is experienced is inexpressible. So then we use the word what, how. So that is how he describes Kapi Kalyana Murtihi. So Kalyana Murtihi means an auspicious form. See? So Kapi Kalyana Murtihi Shriyam Vidhattam. Shriyam Vidhattam. See, Vidhattam means may it bring forth. See, Shriyam can mean all kinds of prosperity. Okay? So spiritual, material, all that is captured by the word Shriyam. In fact, if we want to really break the material prosperity and spiritual prosperity, so we have in this Kathopanishad, see, Shreyaha Preyaha. See, Preyaha is something which is going to bring in prosperity here. Shreyaha is something which is in the spiritual world. Anyway, so Shriyam can be used in a very general sense, all kinds of Shris. So, Kapi Kalyana Murtihi Shriyam Vidhattam. May Shriyam Vidhattam. So, bring in for me. Before that, there are certain descriptions of this Murti. On this Murti, he also says Ganesha Bhidha. We call the Murti by the name Ganesha. Ganesha Bhidha Murtihi Shriyam Vidhattam. Before that, we have certain interesting descriptions here. Sadabala Rupapi. So this is an adjective to that Murti. So what is the first adjective? Sada Bala Rupa. Api. Api is used to signify in spite of, notwithstanding this. So what does that do? Vignadrihantri. Adri means mountain. Vigna is obstacle. So Vignadrihantri. So the one which is able to smash the obstacles even in the form of mountains. So Balarupa pi Vignadrihantri. So in spite of being a very small Murti which is almost like a Bala. Bala means child kind of a thing. So even then it is able to do this destruction of obstacles even in the form of mountain. So this is the first description. Then Mahadanti Vaktrapi Panchasyamanya. Danti. What does Danti mean? Huh? Danta is different. Danta means teeth. Danti means the one which possesses teeth. See? Dhani. Dhanam means wealth. Dhani means the one who possesses wealth. See? So similarly, Danti is the word. So whom do we refer to by Danti?
Elephant.
Elephant. So why is elephant called Danti? He has. Yeah, correct. He has special teeth. So special teeth, so strong, and of course so valuable also, right? So Danti. So Danti Mahadanti Vaktrapi. See, so Mahadanti Vaktrapi. Vaktram means face. Mahadanti Vaktrapi. Panchasya Manya. Manya is respected. Panchasya Manya. Asyam is Asyam. Asyam means Mukham. Asyam means Mukham. In fact, so those of you who study Veda, we know this, right? Sadhyo Jatam Prapadyami. So there are 5 faces. Sadhyo Jatadi Panchavaktra. Or part kuda varala. There is Sarigama Padani. Sadhyo Jatadi. So this Panchasyam means the one which possesses 5 faces. we use the word Panchapatram. So then, where are the 5 faces? No, it's not 5 meter. Even if it is simply made of copper, we will call Panchapatram. In fact, the word Pancha is used to refer to something which is broad. Something which is, see, in fact, Panchapatram should actually come out like this. See, so the top portion should be broadening up. So then only it can be called Panchapatram. Otherwise, okay. So that is Pancha. Now, if we try to take this meaning of Pancha, then what could Panchasya mean? It's not number 5. Asyam is Mukham. Guess an animal whose face is very big. Nahin. Lion. See, so lion. So lion is also called Panchasya. See, Panchasyam. So Panchasya Manya. Manya means the one which is respected by this. So normally what happens is, so this lion is considered to be the king of animals. He can pounce upon and then smash the head of the elephant also. So but this particular Panchasya is scared of that elephant. You understand? It respects that. See, Mahadanti Vaktrapi Panchasya Manya. So in fact, the poet basically tries to convey a certain virodha here. See, apparently there seems to be some contradiction. So being a Bala, how can he handle obstacle? So being an animal, see, so which is to be attacked by lion, how can it be respected by lion? So in fact, these are called as Virodha Bhasa Alankara. So there is a certain poetic beauty. So one thing which I must tell you is, as far as the Subramanya Bhujangam is concerned, see, so there is a lot of poetic beauty which you will find in Adi Shankara's composition. See, so more than a philosopher, he is also a great poet. See, so this is something which you will be able to enjoy as you see. So there are alankaras, they are called as alankaras, so figures of speech. So you will find both Shabda Alankara as well as Artha Alankara, so in his composition. So this is basically Artha Alankara. Sada Bala Rupa pi Vighnadrihantri Mahadanti Vaktra pi Panchasya Manya. So Vidhindradi Mrigya. Why is it so? So because this is a special divine form. It's not a normal elephant headed creature, but this is something which is Vidhindradi Mrigya. See, Mrigya na theriyuma? Mrigya. See, that which is sought after. See. So Vidhindradi Mrigya. Vidhi here refers to Brahma. Indra is Indra. So Vidhindradi Mrigya. So the one who is sought after even by Brahma, Indra, etc. So this particular form. So irrespective of who undertakes a particular undertaking, so they have to see to it that obstacle is removed. So this deity being responsible for that, so all of them seek after him. So that is what he is saying, Vidhindradi Mrigya. And this particular Murti which is sought after is generally termed as Ganesha. Ganesha Bhidha Me. Me means Mama, for me. Vidhattam Shriyam Kapi Kalyana Murti. Now we read Sada Bala Rupa Vivikhnadrihantri Mahadanti Vaktrapi Panchasya Manya Vidhindradi Mrigya Ganesha Bhidhame Vidhattam Shriyam Kapi Kalyana Murtihi. So in the next verse, so Shankaracharya also basically prays before he composes Subramanya Bhujangam, may all the obstacles be removed by this. So after doing that, so Shankara in the second verse basically expresses the humility. So najanami shabdam, najanami padyam, najanami gadyam, najanami padyam, najanami gadyam, najanami shabdam, najanami chartham. Chideka shadasya hrididyotate me. Mukhannisarante giraschapi chitram. So there are variations. In fact, I have memorized. So in the first and the second quarter, so they are interchanged in certain editions. So I find this to be more interesting. So najanami padyam, najanami gadyam, najanami shabdam, najanami chartham. I will explain in a minute why. Mukhat nissarante giraschapi chitram. See, giraha means words. See, gihi girau giraha. Chitram nissarante means what a wonder, the words keep flowing out. So it is an exclamation which he puts forward. Giraschapi chitram nissarante. So what is the wonder here? So he says, najanami padyam, najanami gadyam, najanami shabdam, najanami chartham. So he says, I neither know poetry nor know prose. Poetry is a little more difficult to compose because of various metrical restrictions. Gadya is far more easier. Whether you want to construct poetry or Gadya, you first of all need to know appropriate words. So he says, neither I know poetry, nor I know how to compose prose, nor appropriate words. Words are picked up after you know the artha. You understand? Artha means entity. As a child, so the child looks at the entity and then understands the entity first. The entity is artha. The signifier of the entity is the word. So you call this a tumbler. So if you say, bring the tumbler, the child will observe that this boy goes and takes the tumbler to the father. So then the younger one will understand. So tumbler means this, right? So this artha first is known, then shabda is known, then comes gadya, then comes padya. So he comes down. Okay. So it's not that I only don't know padya, I neither know gadya, nor I know shabda, nor I know artha. Okay. So this is how he brings down. Najanami padyam, najanami gadyam, najanami shabdam, najanami chartham. Then how do you compose? So there he says, I don't know, it just flows out. In fact, let me tell you, see, there is, I have noticed this. At least in two cases I know for sure. So there was a lady, so whom I met with this Kanchi Paramacharya. That lady hardly knows any Sanskrit. But some of the compositions are really remarkable, absolutely marvelous. So how did they come? And there was another person also I know. So if I were to compose one verse, I have to struggle hard. So there has to see, sometimes the mind will focus and you will get sometimes appropriate words, they have to fit into meter. So in sometimes it just comes out, certainly it doesn't happen generally. But there was a person, suppose you say the theme, he was working in some company like any other professional, some bank employee or somebody. But he composes in very long meters, Sragdhara meter, having some 21 syllables. Compositions are absolutely marvelous. My father also used to get surprised. So he started learning Vedanta with my father after retirement. But this man composes verses. So that is what he is primarily conveying here. So Chideka Shadasya Hridi Dyotate me. See, Dyotate means shines. See, Hridi Dyotate. So a certain form of divine force resides in my heart. See, these are practical examples I am just telling you. And this lady used to compose, and Paramacharya, she used to in fact come up with a song in fact. So the songs were so beautiful, very well composed. So Chideka Shadasya. Chit means that conscious being, some divine force. See, Chideka. And he describes this particular Chit as Shadasya. So Shadasya. Asyam is? So here Shadasyam refers to Subramanya. Understand? So Shadasya, Shanmukha. So Chideka Shadasya. This particular six-faced divine being in the form of consciousness residing in my heart somehow drives me so that the words are pouring out of my mouth. See? So Chideka Shadasya. He only says that I am just thinking of that divine being, keeping him in my mind. And the words simply pour out. See, that is the description here. Chideka Shadasya Hridi Dyotate me. And see the wonder. See, Mukhan Nissarante. Nissarati means flowings. See, flowing, flows out. Mukhat, from my mouth, words are just pouring out. Mukhan Nissarante Giraha. And this is what is Chitram. Chitram means what a wonder it is. So this is what. So essentially the poet tries to convey the humility. In fact, we can see that in even the most famous poet, this Kalidasa also says, see, at the beginning of Raghuvamsha, see, Kosurya Prabhavo Vamshaha. Anybody who has read Raghuvamsha? Kvachalpa Vishayamatihi. Titirshur Dustaram Mohat Udupenasmi Sagaram. See, so he says, see, Kwa Surya Prabhavo Vamshaha. See, where is the glory of this dynasty of sun? See, Surya Prabhavo Vamshaha. Kwa means where? See, Kvacha Alpa Vishayamatihi. See, so Alpa Vishayamatihi. So my mind which knows only a few things. So how is it going to describe this? See, so that is how he puts it. So normally poets convey their humility right at the beginning. In fact, it is a certain expression. So natural expression that comes out of them. See? So if you think too much of yourself, then there will be a severe blow. See? See? So this is what Shankara says. See? So these are things which we need to learn. In fact, for anybody for that matter, the highest intellectual, what do we know? So we know some epsilon in some discipline. That is all. And that brings in enormous amount of arrogance in certain people. So, the education is supposed to bring in humility. In fact, that is what this verse says. Vidya dadati vinayam. If it is true vidya, it will definitely bring in humility in you. See? If it breeds arrogance, it is no vidya. In fact, there is another interesting saying. We can even correlate these two. In fact, there is a saying, see, Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktaye. See, so Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktaye. Ya Vimuktaye means that which will help you in getting freed. See, if this person is arrogant, then he will always get entangled in various problems. So it need not be external, it will be internal. See, because I am supposed to be respected, he did not respect me, problem. Right? So Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktaye. See, so if you have this and this Vidya is able to bring in this, then there will be no problem. Then a problem, even in house. So various things, house, office, everywhere. So this Vinaya is something which is beautifully expressed in this verse. This humility. So as a bundle of humility, he presents this verse. Read this. न जानामि पद्यं न जानामि गद्यं न जानामि शब्दं न जानामि चार्थं चिदेकाषडास्या हृदि द्योतते मे मुखान्निस्सरन्ते गिरश्चापि चित्रम् मयूराधिरूढं महावाक्यगूढं मनोहारिरूढं महावाक्यगूढं मनोहारिदेहं महच्चित्तगेहं मनोहारिदेहं महच्चित्तगेहं महीदेवदेवं महावेदभावं महादेवबालं भजे लोकपालम् So this verse is a very interesting verse in the sense that he tries to bring in two aspects of the Subramanya. One is the physical aspect, the other is something which is abstract. So if you look at this composition, each quarter is split into two parts. See? So Mayuradhirudham. See, Mayura is peacock. Adhirudha means the one who is sitting upon. See, Adhirudha, one who has climbed upon. See. So Mayuradhirudham. So it is a physical description of Subramanya. See. Mayuradhirudham. In the same quarter, you find the later half. Mahavakyagudham. Gudha means the one who is behind, or rather the one who is signified in an abstract way, who is not so tangible. See, Gudham means something which is not tangible to us. So tangible to the sense organs, but not tangible to other things. See, it may be sensed through mind, but not the physical sense organs. So how do we understand this particular entity? So there the Mahavakyas sort of help. Mahavakya, what is Mahavakya? Big sentence. Maha means big, right? Oh, she is saying Am Brahmasmi. Correct. Correct. There is also one Mahavakya. In fact, there are 4 Mahavakyas. So each Veda, so one Vakya is called a Mahavakya. That Maha is used in the sense of the import of the sentence and not the length of the sentence. See? So Tattvamasi is a Mahavakya. See? So it conveys a very, very profound idea, so which cannot be easily understood in the first go, on which one has to contemplate a lot. See? So all the Upanishads are essentially to explain these Mahavakyas. So in fact the essence of Upanishad is conveyed through Mahavakya. So that is how the scriptures have been written down. So here he says Mahavakya Gudham. So Mahavakya Gudhaha. So the one who is described by the Mahavakyas, who is hiding behind the Mahavakyas. Okay. Mahavakya Gudham. So this is the abstract aspect of the Subramanya. Manohari Deham. So his physical form. So that is what is described by this phrase. Manohari Deham. Deha is this physical body. So that is qualified by the word Manohari. So Hari means that which is snatched away. See? Say Haraha. In fact, Haraha. Haraha is Shiva. See? So So Haraha. So he is called Haraha because Harati Papani. Iti Haraha. Anyway, so this Haraha Manohari means that which is so attractive that my mind is grabbed by him. So that physical form. So Manohari Deham. The K.P. Sundaram paattu padna pramadama. See, will just the heart will melt. Manohari Deham Mahacchitta Geham. What is Mahacchitta Geham? Geha. Gehaha. Gehaha means house. See, so Geha. Geha means house. So what does he convey here? Mahacchitta Geham. The one who resides in, so the one who has made his house as Mahacchitta. Mahacchitta, not all chittas. Mahacchitta means noble. It speaks of the nobility of the person. So pure heart, so noble mind. So that's where he dwells. So if our mind is polluted, see, with various thoughts, crookedness, etc., so Ishvara will not dwell there. So if you have to make him dwell, so then you have to keep it pure. In fact, we have this mantra, Navirato duscharitat Nashanto nasamahitaha Nashanta manaso vapi Prajnane nainamapnuyat. Where? Kathopanishad. See, Navirato duscharitat. See, Na ashantaha na asamahitaha Nashanta manaso vapi. It ends, no? Somewhere. Second. Yasya brahmachakshatram. So, na virato duscharitat. See, avirataha. Virataha means retiring. Avirataha means the one who has not retired. See, duscharitat na avirataha. See, the one who has not retired from wrongdoings. See, so to him he will not come. As long as you retire from this, it need not necessarily be physical act, thinking. See, if you think of ill of others, so then there is a big problem. If you think the other fellow has done ill to me, that is also a problem. In fact, one of the things, most important things, so which has to be learned from Rama. Nowhere in Valmiki Ramayana you will find Rama cursing Kaikeyi. Nowhere. See, in spite of undergoing all kinds of sufferings, nowhere you will find a single word uttered by Rama. Chha, ivadala vandadu. No. So in the height of afflictions, so he will only console himself by saying, so maybe I am experiencing the fruits of my own actions. Finished, full stop. So you don't curse anybody, you don't curse yourself. See? In fact, by cursing others, we will only curse ourselves. Strictly speaking, that is what it is. You hurt yourself by either physically hurting others or internally hurting others, mentally hurting. It is a hurt which is caused to us. That is why he is saying, Navirato duscharitat. See, so it need not necessarily refer to some physical act. See? Na ashantaha. So only when we develop these qualities, see, forbearance, ahimsa, etc., etc., see, satya. So only these things will prepare our mind to a state in which these divine things can dwell in our mind. See, that is why he is described as Mahacchitta Geham. See, the one who resides in Mahachittas. So this Mahat refers to that. Mahachittageham. So this is in an abstract way. See, so one is this physical description. Then Mahideva Devam. See, Mahi refers to Prithvi. See, Mahi. Mahideva. Who is Mahideva? In fact, so those who are engaging themselves in Vedadhyena, see, strictly living the life of a spiritual seeker. So they are referred to as Devas here, the divine beings residing in this world. So divine beings, celestial divine beings residing in terrestrial world. See, they are called as Mahideva. In fact, Bhusura, Mahisura. So Sura is also used sometimes. See, so Mahideva Devam. See, the Deva of Mahideva. So you see the kind of alliteration here. See, Maha, 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 Maha. So this is a Shabda Alankara. See, so Mahideva Devam, Mahaveda Bhavam. See, the import of the Vedas. See, so Mahaveda Bhavam. In fact, this Omkara itself is a representation of all the three Vedas. See? So we have no what is that? Mundaka, Mandukya. Omityetad. Omityetadaksharamidagna sarvam tasyopavyakyanam bhutam bhavat bhavishyaditi sarvam Omkara eva. So this is how we have the Mandukya Upanishad beginning with. See, Omityetat idam sarvam. In fact, all this. So that is how. So this Omkara is actually in the Purana we find a lot of description that Subramanya is supposed to have given this Upadesha of Omkara. So here that is why he is describing as Mahaveda Bhavam. So the essence of all the Vedas is you. Okay, the one who has understood the import of all the Vedas, the one who is an embodiment of all the Vedas. Mahaveda Bhavam. So then he says Mahadeva Balam. So in spite of that, he has taken this form. See, so Mahadeva Balam, the son of Shiva. See, Mahadeva Balam, Bhaje Lokapalam. So what does he do? Lokapalam. So that is his activity. See? So Lokapalam. See? So Lokan Palayatiti Lokapalaha. See, there also you see Bala Pala. So you see the prasa. See, so that's why I said, so this has both Shabda Alankara and Artha Alankara. In fact, the first I was saying, no, Virodha Bhasa. See, the first shloka says Sada Bala Rupa Pivignadrihantri. In fact, this one can, I'm just reminded of this shloka now. See, this Vinayaka, one of the most famous verses is Agajanana Padmarkam. You know? Tell. Just try. Gajanana Maharnisham. Ekadantam Upasmahe. So here also you see, like the Sadabala Rupa Api Vignadrihantri, you find a Virodha. What is a Virodha? Agajanana, Gajanana. You understand? So Agajanana Padmarkam, Gajananam Maharnisham, Anekadantam and Ekadantam. Okay. So Ekadantam Upasmahe, I offer my veneration so unto that Ekadanta, the one who has Ekadanta. So how is he Anekadanta? See, so this here also we have this case of Virodha Bhasa. So apparently if you just look at the words, so there will be a contradiction as if but there is no real contradiction. So anekadam tam. So that is how you need to split. See. So anekam dadati iti anekadaha. Tam anekadam. Then we have one more tam. You understand? Anekadam tam ekadantam. Okay, so this is how you resolve. Similarly, so panchasya manya vidhindradi mrigya. So that virodha bhasam so is there. So this virodha bhasa is a beautiful alankara. So when you look at from the viewpoint of mere poetry also, there is a lot of charm in this Bhujanga Stotra. So what is the time now? Remember that? So then we will stop here. 7:45, right? So we can repeat these three verses once, then we can just start. Sada bala rupa vivighna drihantri mahadanti vaktrapi panchasya manya vidhindradi mrigya ganeshabhidhame vidhaktam shriyam kapi kalyana murtihi न जानामि पद्यं न जानामि गद्यं न जानामि शब्दं न जानामि चार्थं चिदेकाषडास्या हृदिद्योतते मे मुखान्निस्सरन्ते गिरश्चापि चित्रं मयूराधिरूढं महावाक्यगूढं मनोहारिदेहं महच्चित्तगेहं महीदेवदेवं महावेदभावं महादेवपालं भजे लोकपालम् सर्वेऽपि सुखिनः सन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ